Okay, let's start with a scenario you might actually face, maybe even today. Imagine you're scrolling through your feed and you're desperate for a quick answer, like a 60-second health hack. And then you see it. Some super trustworthy, glossy person tells you that eating only glow-in-the-dark cheese is the absolute key to longevity. They look amazing, they sound so confident, and you might think, well, they're an expert, I should trust them, right? What if their genuine, passionate belief in this cheese wasn't fueled by, years of research, but by a mountain of corporate cash? We are diving headfirst into the world of digital health advice, where the opinions you trust might actually be rented, not earned. We're trying to figure out the invisible price tag attached to the health advice you see every single day.
And what's fascinating here is just the sheer level of desperation from the major players, big pharma and big food. You have to ask, why are they relying so heavily on these social media voices?
Right, what's the strategy?
It's because they know their own public trust has completely disintegrated. They can't sell to you directly anymore, so they have to borrow credibility from people you already feel connected to. And if you look at their track record, it makes perfect sense why they need this marketing makeover. Since the year 2000, major pharmaceutical companies have racked up over $126 billion in total penalties.
126 billion.
Billion. And the part that should really make you pay attention is that more than 60 billion of that was directly related to patient injury and harm.
Wow.
So when you have a history that terrible, hiring a friendly face on TikTok is like the cheapest insurance policy you can buy.
That's chilling.
Yeah.
That accumulated corruption is the foundation for this whole economy of paid advice. So let's unpack this. We need to look behind the curtain and what it actually costs a corporation to buy a little slice of that credibility. When you first look at the rates for an influencer, it sounds kind of normal. Maybe, $20 to $25 per 1,000 views?
Yeah, standard advertising fare.
But this is where the conversation completely shifts, because we aren't talking about pushing, like, socks or a new soda. We're talking about health and nutrition, topics where a person's credibility is, well, it's priceless.
And the corporations, they know this. If they find an influencer who has high trust, maybe they're a doctor or a registered dietitian, they apply what they call a trust multiplier.
A trust multiplier. That sounds like something out of a bad spy movie?
It pretty much functions like that. They'll multiply that standard rate by 8 to 12 times.
8 to 12.
Yep. And that instantly turns $20 per 1,000 views into, up to $240 per 1,000 views.
You're in a completely different financial league at that point.
A totally different league.
But how does a corporation even justify spending that much? It seems incredibly high for just 1 minute of content.
Because the payoff is exponential compared to traditional ads. Let's just look at some conservative estimates. Take a single 60 to 90 second post on YouTube. If it hits between 500,000 and 1.5 million views.
Which is pretty achievable for a big channel.
For sure. That single piece of content can potentially generate between $250,000 to $500,000 for the influencer.
$500,000.
For one video.
For a minute-long video. The implication there isn't just about wealth, it's about compromised judgment. I mean, how much real advice are you selling when the price tag is $500,000?
And that's before they even factor in the long tail. An Instagram reel that gets 1 million impressions might land someone $150,000 to $300,000 up front.
Okay.
But if it goes viral and those views keep climbing over time, that single piece of content can easily exceed $1 million.
It's just an amount of money that completely crushes any ability to maintain true independence.
And what's also important to understand is the mechanism here. Big pharma and big food, they rarely contact the influencers directly.
Of course not. They need that distance.
Exactly. They need plausible deniability, so they work through these specialized PR firms.
So the whole operation is designed to create insulation, to hide the corporate hand like 2 or 3 layers deep.
Precisely. These PR firms have dedicated teams whose only job is finding, hiring, training, and most importantly, meticulously crafting the messaging.
So they're writing the script.
They're crafting the talking points to sound as casual and authentic and unscripted as possible. It's a highly engineered illusion.
An illusion designed to fool you into thinking the advice is organic.
Exactly.
And that takes us right to the transparency tightrope they have to walk. Because legally, you're supposed to know when you're being sold something, especially when it's your health.
Right. The Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, is supposed to be the referee here. They have rules requiring financial disclosure.
Okay. And if you fail to disclose?
The fine is technically around $50,000.
Wait a minute. Wait. If you just told us an influencer can make $500,000 on one video, why would anyone bother disclosing if the fine is only 50 grand? That's not a deterrent.
It's not.
That's a business expense.
It's a complete whack-a-mole game for the FTC because the penalty is just so low compared to the payout, and the data shows that more than 40% of social media influencers do not disclose they're being paid.
40%.
It's a massive transparency problem, and it's made worse because this financial data is not easily searchable unless that influencer happens to be a doctor.
And when the money is exposed, the denials can be, well, spectacularly aggressive. We saw this with a really valuable health personality, an osteopath with a massive YouTube channel, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, and he takes very pro-establishment stances on a lot of health topics. And the specific issue here is that he publicly stated, right in a video, that he was never compensated by a vaccine company.
A very clear, bold denial, meant to build trust.
Totally. But the public records search revealed he had received over $1 million from Abbott Labs.
Abbott Labs.
A massive pharmaceutical company that sells a variety of things, including certain vaccines.
So it's a perfect example of how easily these rules can be skirted or just ignored. He didn't just fail to disclose, he actively denied it.
Exactly.
And it's not just Big Pharma selling his pills. Big Food uses the identical playbook.
Oh, absolutely. In November 2023, the FTC had to send out warning letters to major trade groups.
Like who?
Like the American Beverage Association and the Canadian Sugar Institute, and also several registered dietitian nutritionists and influencers working with them.
And what were the warnings about?
They were caught red-handed, failing to disclose hefty payments while promoting things like the safety of aspartame or, encouraging people to consume more sugar-containing products.
So you have people with RD after their name promoting artificial sweeteners, and they're on the payroll of the companies that profit from them.
It's a complete betrayal of the trust that title is supposed to carry.
And that brings us to the most uncomfortable part of this whole deep dive. If individuals can be rented, what happens when corporations try to buy entire institutions?
Yeah, we're moving from the influencer to the institutional conflict machine. This is where the actual policy gets written. Let's look at the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, or the A&D.
Okay, why are they so important?
They are the gatekeepers. They train, they certify, and they lobby on behalf of over 100,000 dietitians in this country. If you see a dietitian in a hospital, a school, a state policy committee, they are almost certainly affiliated with the A&D.
So you assume they're the neutral referees of the food world, the independent voice of science.
You would assume. But an investigation using the Freedom of Information Act, it uncovered a devastating detail about their independence.
What'd they find?
80,000 pages of correspondence between Big Food and this organization.
That's awesome.
80,000 pages of communication, planning, coordination. That's less of a partnership and more of a deeply intertwined daily operational relationship.
And the conflict just becomes unavoidable when you look at who's funding them, right?
Oh, the funding list is basically the who's who of processed foods. Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Hershey's, General Mills, and Abbott Laboratories, again, which gave over $800,000.
It's just hard to believe policy can remain independent when the lights are kept on by the very companies that policy is supposed to regulate.
And think about the scope of that. It's not one isolated conflict. It's a whole web of loyalty. And we see the results in policy. I mean, consider the American Heart Association, the group that famously told us years ago to replace saturated fats with highly refined seed oils.
The same group that issues those little heart check certifications on packaged foods.
The very same. That organization is also heavily funded by and frequently defends the junk food industry.
So it raises the question, when the institutions setting our health policy are funded by the companies their policies affect, how independent can they be?
They can't be. By default, they are protecting their biggest clients.
And the seed oil argument is the perfect example of how they use these framing tricks to deflect any criticism. You'll hear sponsored influencers argue that seed oils are not inherently bad, especially if they are, like, cold-pressed.
Yeah.
Which is the comedic reality check, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who is buying cold-pressed corn oil to lightly drizzle on their organic heirloom tomatoes?
Nobody.
No one. These industrial oils are used for high-heat commercial cooking, for frying. They're the backbone of most packaged foods.
And that's the scientific detail the sponsored content conveniently ignores. The issue isn't just the oil itself, it's the vast industrial processing.
What do you mean?
Well, these oils are typically extracted using chemical solvents like hexane, then they're deodorized and bleached using heat and pressure. And the crucial part is what happens next. When these oils are heated, either during processing or during cooking, they create toxic byproducts, aldehydes,
And those are linked to what?
inflammation,
Right.
and potentially contributing to metabolic issues like insulin resistance. So the sponsored focus on the oil itself, it completely distracts you from the industrial processes that make it a problem. It's pure misdirection.
That misdirection is the entire basis of the corporate propaganda playbook.
Yeah.
They need to shift the blame and control the narrative, and they often do it by pushing this idea of personal responsibility.
Oh, constantly. You see the moderation campaign, which is just designed to stop people from eliminating processed foods altogether. Coca-Cola, for instance, specifically rents influencers to push the message that obesity is primarily about energy balance and you should just exercise more.
Which conveniently shifts all the attention away from their sugary drinks and puts the responsibility squarely on the consumer.
Exactly. It's your fault, not the products.
And then you have the constant, aggressive, sponsored myth-busting videos.
Hmm.
These label alternative views, like low-carb eating or criticizing junk food, as dangerous misinformation.
But they never provide robust details. They just rely on this repetitive, authoritative language designed to shut down criticism and protect the status quo.
Yeah.
And they often use deeply flawed science to do it, just banking on the fact that you won't read the original study. Take the claim that low-carb diets cause issues like atrial fibrillation. That headline was plastered everywhere. It generated so much fear.
But if you look behind the headline, what did the actual study find?
The study they cited, it defined the low-carb group as having their lowest carbohydrate intake at 44.8% carbohydrates.
Wait, 45% carbs? That's not low carb.
Not even close. A ketogenic diet is under 10%. A standard low-carb diet is often under 25%.
So they weren't even studying low-carb diets at all.
Not at all. They were studying a moderate carb diet, and yet the headlines spin it as a confirmed danger of keto. It's just deceptive framing. So what does this entire landscape mean for you, the listener, who's just trying to get some truthful health information? You have to stop taking advice at face value. You need to start looking for two key diagnostic signals. Who is paying them, and what is the intention of the message? And ask yourself this one simple diagnostic question. Does the information move you toward consuming less ultra-processed food and fewer unnecessary drugs? Or does it, implicitly or explicitly, move you toward relying on more of them? The answer to that question tells you who the real client is and whether that advice is for your health or someone else's bottom line.
And finally, let's zoom out to the biggest picture possible. Just think about the committee that designed our entire food pyramid. You know, the foundational nutritional guidelines for American health that shaped your whole life.
Yeah.
It was found that a single member of that committee had over 150 hidden financial ties to big food, big pharma, or big ad corporations.
150.
It's not one conflict of interest. It's a whole web of loyalty. The foundational guidelines for American health were written by people effectively on the payroll of the people selling the junk. And you have to dig through thousands of documents just to find these connections. So if the people setting the rules have over 150 hidden conflicts, then who are you really trusting when you seek health advice online? You might think you're trusting an independent expert, but you're probably just listening to a very expensive advertisement wearing a doctor's coat.